Shocking. KRA will tax your side hustle income. Hey, in case you are living under the stone and you do not know what is going on, in less than 2 days ago, KRA has actually released some news and saying they will start taxing your side hustle income. What does it mean? Let me explain. Let's say you are employed here, you are a teacher, you are an engineer, or you have a business. And then obviously there you're gonna be taxed. That's for sure. We already know that. If you're running a business, you must have the ETRs and what have you. So you're taxed. If you're employed, we have the pay as you earn, we have all those deductions, the VAT, housing levy, all those deductions. And then on the other hand, if you're having something else that you're doing, let's say you have some small farm somewhere, you grow bananas, and let's say you have some goats that you sell, so that the goats that you milk can be able to sell and get some cash, or they also need to tax that. They want to tax that. So they will start taxing that thing that you call a side hustle. So they're going to be taxing both sides. This side on the other side. And this is what they say. Let me tell you something. All declared income and expenses must be supported by a valid electronic tax invoice, correctly transmitted with the buyer's PIN. What does that mean? Let's say, for example, you are a teacher, you are employed on this side, or you do whatever you do. And then you have a certain talent. You bake cakes, and then you make nice cakes, and then you supply to people. Maybe you have a contract with a certain hotel, or maybe like there's a thing or that thing that you usually do at the sideline, and you make some cash, and you do some transaction with those people. So you are supposed to send them an invoice using the e-teams. You remember the e-team, the electronic transmission, that thing whereby you don't just tell them on the comment section, hey, you owe me 20,000, why are this money there? No. You go to your KRA PIN, or you go to your e-citizen, and I don't know the KRA, you register for an e-teams. Personally, I have it anyway. So you register for that, and once you register for that, then when you're having a contract with a company, so you send them that e-team, that particular invoice. Therefore, 3 people will know how much you're getting paid here. The government, obviously, through the KRA, and then that person where you have actually getting that. How many of you have ever done a contract with a company? Yeah, they're asking you for an e-team. This is where you find like, hey, you have to go ahead and do what? Have an e-team account. It has come to a point whereby it's almost necessary. You know why? It is actually, listen, this is what is going on. That company, they need to do what we call the withholding tax. Why? Because also for them it's a disadvantage. Why? At the end of the fiscal year, when they are doing their KRA returns and when they are filing their returns, they have also to declare that they did a business with person so and so, and this is their KRA, and this is what withheld. So when they are declaring their expenses under the company, your expense there will actually be seen, and also so that whatever they will declare as the tax that they paid, it will actually be supported by that particular document. On the other side, you as an individual, you'll also be covered in the sense that you can prove that the money that you got has already been subjected to a what? To a tax deductions. Remember, there was a time I said that the bank, the KRA will actually get into your bank account and see how much you have there and whether you have declared the tax and all those kind of things. Now, they say that they're gonna do the tax deductions on the side hustles, and this is exactly what will happen. Yeah, KRA requires that all income from side hustles or any source other than the primary employment be declared for tax purposes. This income is generally treated as a business income and is subject to the relevant tax regime. Okay, this is when I said, if you are a teacher, if you are a doctor, and you are in a matatu business, meaning you are in a transport business, you also need to declare that. And let's say you're in a matatu business, and let's say, for example, you make bricks, or maybe you make some precast, or maybe you do some other things there, you also have to declare that. So all those incomes that you're having, it is a tax deductible options, because they are saying they are subject to tax, and they are subject to the relevant tax regime. Listen here. Key requirements: declaration of all income. The law requires that every person with a taxable income to file a return declaring income from all sources, including side hustles and rental properties. By the way, particularly it was from the side hustles and rental properties, in addition to any employment income. So again, allow me to use my example. You are employed somewhere, you are a HR, you're employed somewhere as a whatever you are, and then you have built yourself some rental somewhere. So excuse me, you'll be deducted some tax on that employment that you are in. And of course, the other income that you're having on the other side will also be subjected to the tax deduction. ETIMS, invoicing is mandatory. ETIMS is that thing that you need to have. It's called electronic tax invoices. It is a mandatory. KRA recently directed individuals earning extra income to register and issue electronic tax invoices. Meaning, you don't just say by the word of mouth, hey, you know what, from these cows of mine, 4 of them, I make 70,000 in a month. I'm just throwing random numbers. You don't say that. You say, hey, I make 70,000 Kenyan shilling from these 4 cows of mine, despite me being a teacher. And this 70,000 has already been, you have to support. So I do not know the mechanism that they're going to use on this sense. Is, let's say, for example, okay, you know, you are Africans, probably most of you are Africans, and you know how the African setup is. Let's say somebody has 2 cows back at home, and these 2 cows, say you get like 50 liters per day, or let's say 30 liters per day. And that liters, some of the consumers of that milk are your neighbors. So at the evening, they come, let's say, for a liter, one comes for a liter, another for 2, another for 1, another for 1, and maybe say another one, you take it to, you know, we call it kambe or kambi outside. I mean, if you come from Africa, you definitely know what I'm talking about. Now, because we really don't have a well-established system and what have you, so the consumers of your 30 liters of milk, it's consumed by the neighborhood and no far-flung people. Now, tell me, how are you able to generate this ETIM? Okay, do you send the ETIM to your neighbor who comes for 1 liter every evening? You tell them, hey, Mama Shko, Mama who, and so, or Papa who, I've sent you an ETIM, check on your email. Now, tell me, how will that be possible? By the way, I'm never against paying the taxes. What I'm usually for, okay, fine, we are paying the taxes first. What are the taxes doing? Are they being directed to the right place? Can we see them working? If you go to some countries, for example, if you go to is it, what country pays the highest tax on earth? I think they pay, Japan. Japan, they pay the highest tax. I think it's over 51%. Meaning in Japan, if you make 100,000, you take home less, government take home more. They take more. For example, if you make 100,000 Kenyan shilling in Japan, government will go with over 50,000 out of it. They go, I think 51,000 or something like that. They go with it. Then you go home with 49. They go home with a lot of money compared to you. If you go, for example, to the US, I think it's around 20-something percent. I think 20 or 40%, if I'm not wrong. Even UK has a very high tax. I think it's 40-something. For those who guys are living in the UK can tell me, is it 40% or 42 or 40-something percent? It's one of the countries that has highest tax in whatever. Now, but there are some countries that do not have tax, for your information. I mean, if you live in Monaco, if you make $1 million, you take it home, all of it. Nobody is deducting you taxes. I think even in Arab countries, okay, I stand corrected, you can verify that. Now, anyway, the point here is, well, there's nothing wrong paying taxes. I mean, if you pay taxes and then you're getting home evening, you're, you know, catching a free tram to take you home. There are subways probably for free, and if not for free, a very negligible fee. You know, electricity is connected. You are secured. You can even work for 10 jobs. I mean, if it's supposed viable, like you don't even secure. I mean, you're not worried about your security. The water is there. I mean, if systems are working, there's nothing wrong with taxes. What disheartens people, what pains people, the moment they hear the taxes are being added, is sure we're paying the taxes anyway, but hey, where is it? This is my own view. I wish I'm not a political activist, neither am I. I'm just saying, I'm just a normal Kenyan, you know, who pays taxes, for that matter. I think if when they improve, or when they say they're gonna charge for more taxes, they should also conquer that with that. Hey, guess what? We actually sued 10 people who actually stole our money, and at least we can be like, okay. We don't have any problem. There was a time I was telling a guy somewhere, this is me thinking in a very wild way. I told him, hey, do you know if today government wakes up and say, hey, guess what? We are on a tax pressure. We would like, if you have the ability as a Kenyan, give us, let's say, 300 shilling or 500 shilling or whichever you can. This is our pay bill as a nation. Contribute towards us paying that. I will contribute towards that because I'm patriotic about this nation. I mean, I wouldn't love to one day maybe say we leave to the generations that will come to us a destroyed country. I will participate into that. But again, you're like, okay, fine. If I participate, then after being deducted, can you imagine you have 2 cows, you pay for your tax, and then when you sit now relaxing, you know, enjoying the extra cup of milk that was left watching the news. Then you hear that somebody stole 20 billion. Like, you are like, yo, but I've just paid the tax for me to my road just next to my neighborhood to be made, but somebody has stolen like 20 billion. How would you even feel? I think they should not only improve on the way they get the taxes, but also, I don't know, sometimes I just feel bad, by the way. We should see people being sued, being jailed for stealing. We should see them improving also on the part of, hey, you know what, you guys, you're paying the taxes, we are so thankful, but hey, this dude actually stole your cash, that's why we are taking him to jail. I think at least that accountability, it is okay. But it is not equivalent. But anyway, I'm not a political activist. I'm just reporting here. I talked as a Kenyan anyway. I talked as a Kenyan. Forgive me for those whom think I sounded political. I apologize and I withdraw my words. Wink, wink, for that matter. Anyway, let's continue. Now, I was trying to use a simple example. How will you generate that income or that e-teams from your neighbor where you're making that extra income? So I do not understand how that exactly will work. Probably, I don't know if government do watch my videos, they can tell me on the comment section how they can. Maybe perhaps I can educate people and tell them, hey, this is how exactly it will work and what have you. Anyway, that is exactly what will happen. Now, income and expense validation starting January 1st, 2026, KRA will begin validating all income and expenses declared in tax returns against data from the e-teams. Ay, Omera donge winjo. This is tough. They will start doing what? Doing what we call validating all income and expenses declared in tax returns against data from the e-teams. So once you do your filing of returns, they will actually validate that. Hey, you said that you've paid a tax of, say, X amount of money. Then you'll actually validate, be like, okay, it's true, we can validate. Indeed, that is exactly what came in it. You get what I'm saying? That is exactly what it means here. With the withholding tax records and import records, this is intended to ensure compliance and reduce tax discrepancies. Sure, we usually have some traces of tax discrepancies. We cannot deny that. Tax regimes, depending on the nature and the amount of your side hustle income, different tax obligation may apply. For example, individual tax, this is a payee. We all know what is it. And in most cases, the payee, which ranges from 10 to 35%, depends on the amount that you usually earn. In Kenya, we usually have some cappings. I don't know a salary from, I don't know what to what, they take, you guys, you know that better. Turnover tax, that is the TOT. If your gross sales are more than $1 million, but do not exceed 25 million annually, your business may be eligible for a turnover tax regime charged at a rate of 1% of gross monthly sales. 1% gross monthly sales. Return income tax. Specific rules apply to rental income, which can be taxed monthly at 10% of gross rent. So whatever you collect as your rental income each and every month, 10%, gross of it, imagine, gross of it, meaning you've not done the deductions, paying the water and what have you, gross of it, 10% of it goes to the government or under the annual income tax regime, depending on how certain her threshold. I don't have a problem with them collecting the taxes, but the only part is, hey, how are they going to use that particular tax whenever they get it, okay? How to comply? You can manage your tax obligation through the KRA iTax portal or the, okay, well, that is exactly how you comply. Anyway, starting January 1st, 2026, KRA will start taxing your side hustle income in whatever you do. Yes. So that is it, guys. That's the information. I'm here to report the financial news. Anything that is touching your money, anything where your money is being touched, in any way, I actually come here and make videos about it, and I hope you've gotten something out of it. This is Good Joseph at all the time. Make sure that you leave a comment on the comment section. Tell me where you're watching me from and what is your view on that particular information. And then from there, we can proceed and do something out of it. Anyway, this is Good Joseph. Don't forget, that is my number in case you need my services in one way or the other. Anyway, just that is if you do need my services in any way. Yeah. If you don't, just keep on watching my free videos. You're going to get something out of it. See you there.